Hi everybody, Matt Bernie or Mike Beer, the DRF Formulator race of the day for Saturday, January the 14th. Race number 11 at Gulfstream Park. It's the Grade 3 Hals Hope, 1 mile, main track, 1 turn. Not a giant field, but a little bit of an interesting betting race. If you're following along with us, go over to the Race of the Day page. You can get the free Formulator PPs. Follow along with us as we go right in post position order 1 through 9. Let's start off with the 1 Dolphus. Goes out for Joe Sharp, Joel Rosario. Co-highest last out buyer in the field with a 100, albeit over a sloppy sealed track going 7/8 of a mile. Right. The question is, if you believe that, then he's obviously a player.
Right.
If you strip that race from his PPs, he's not good enough.
True enough. I mean, boy, how many people are hoping that he's good enough with,
yes.
with his pedigree? They're just dying for this horse to be a good horse. We'll see if he is. Was it the sloppy track? Was it the turn back last time? Was it the blinkers last time? I don't know what it was, but he's going to have to run that race and maybe even a little bit more to beat this field, and I'm going to make him do it.
And you talk about the pedigree, correct me if I'm wrong, this is Rachel Alexander's brother.
Yeah, little brother.
So we would hope that he could live up to her, but that's unfair to hold that against him. If he runs that 100, he's obviously a player in here. The 2 is Tommy Macho for Todd Pletcher. This is a horse that he's done his best running 1 turn at a mile. You look, he has back races that are certainly good enough to win, if not blow this field away, let's be honest.
Yep.
What do you do with his 2 most recent starts? The Kelso at Belmont wasn't good. The Richard Small at Laurel, going probably a little bit farther than he wants, was a disaster. What do you do with him?
Yeah, I can't bet him off of those 2 races, that's for sure. He was terrible in both. I know there was a layoff, there was an injury and a layoff, and so maybe it's just one of those situations where he's racing himself into shape. Pletcher's keeping the faith. He's going to run him right back in this race. That's a good sign, and it is, you know, Pletcher at Gulfstream, and you have to always be concerned if he can run his Hooper. The last time he ran on this track, 1 turn mile in the Hooper, he runs that race, he probably wins. He was awful good that day, but I don't know, man. Do you really want to bet him at, I don't know, 3-1, 5-2 off of those last 2 races?
I don't mean this in a negative way, but isn't the most aggravating result him winning at a short price simply because he's been terrible in each of those 2? But you know it's Pletcher at Gulfstream, and you know that this horse has run well at Gulfstream as well in the past.
And they're gonna, and Pletcher, the fact that he keeps going with them, you know, his last races are so bad, you always wonder if you're ever gonna see him again.
Yeah.
And here he is in the Hals Hope. I mean, I think it's gotta be a good sign for this horse.
The 3 is Birdsong for Ian Wilkes, Julian Leperoux, coming out of a nice score, going 1 turn at a mile at Churchill Downs most recently. Got a 99 buyer that day. That was easily the best career speed figure for this 4-year-old colt. I thought it was a good effort, all things considered. There's just a part of me that thinks you're going to have to do better than that, and I want you to prove to me that that's actually who you are.
Agreed with all that stuff. I'm going to use this horse, if only because I don't really love any of the shorter prices. You know, I think he is going to be a good price in this race, or at least I hope that he is. And I sort of liked him. I liked the way that he was heading over the summer for Ian Wilkes. I thought he ran some good races at Saratoga. I don't care about the King's Bishop where he was nowhere. I thought he ran fine last time. Now, obviously, I don't think he's going to wire this field. He's going to be up close to the pace. I think he's heading the right way. The 1 turn mile seems like a good thing for him, and I thought he'd be an okay price, and I want prices.
Realm is the 4 coming in here for Barclay Tag. Paco Lopez has the mount. This is a horse most recently we saw in the Cigar Mile. He finishes behind Connect, behind Divining Rod. Don't hold that against him. Those were 2 really nice, classy horses at this stage in the game. They ran giant races. Where do you fall with a horse like this who's 2 for 9 lifetime? I don't think you can call him an underachiever just yet. No. Do you think he's sort of a late developing, late bloomer?
Yeah, I could buy into that for sure. I mean, he had, to me, he's one of those, he had a lot of excuses, I thought, early on last year. A bunch of races where he actually ran pretty well without winning. Obviously, Seymour Dini and Gift Box. He wasn't going to beat those 2 horses. That was a really fast pace at Belmont on June 25th, and he was close to it. And then he was going to win the September 16th race. That was a race he was going to win. He just couldn't get clear in the stretch. The problem with him is he got a perfect trip against a atrocious field when he won in November. I did not like that field that he beat with a perfect trip, and he didn't really run any faster than, you know, you feel like he was running before that. Cigar Mile was fine, but he never looked like he was going to win that race to me. I don't know. I like him as a horse, Matt, and I think he could take a step forward and be a good 4-year-old. But he's 3-1 on the morning line. I would never bet him in here if he's going to be that kind of a price.
I don't know about you. I also look at the Cigar Mile, and I understand he did need to angle out severely at the top of the lane. Didn't he have a perfect trip in that race, too? Down on the inside, set the pocket, and all of a sudden, okay, he tipped out, turning for home. He never threatened the top 2.
Yeah, and exactly. I would be willing to give him the old, well, he had to let them clear, and then he had to come out behind them. If he had made it close, I would say, like, well, maybe it cost him. He didn't make up an inch of ground on the stretch.
The 5 is a Mies Flatter for Josie Carroll. Johnny V has the mount here. This is a horse that has been a bit of a pet of mine. I've liked him for quite some time. I'll admit not the most trustworthy at this stage in the game, but I feel like there are instances where you can make excuses for certain races. Obviously, the turf races, draw a line through that. There might be one flatter in the entire world that can stand up on turf, but when he's right, his best race can put the boots to this field.
Yes, if he can run his best race, and we'll see if he can do it. If he can, this is a field that he can beat. I don't buy it. I've never bought it. I didn't like, not that I didn't like it. His win down here last year with the big 105, to say that he wasn't beating a good field that day would be putting it kindly. I didn't like the Commonwealth as a race overall. I think that's sort of a phony number, and I don't like that field. The rest of his races, to me, aren't good enough. And so I don't want him unless he's some kind of big price in this race. Then maybe I'll use him because he does have something. There's something there with this horse. I just don't like him.
For me, I guess I go through, and again, maybe it's partially because I want to make him out to be better than he actually is. His 2 Belmont races, I don't have much of an excuse. It looked like he was going to be eased, though, and for some reason he came on at the end. And you go through and look at all of his races, that 105 in the allowance, he was out in the clear, and he just went on with it. He comes back that next start in the Hooper, he's down inside. I don't think he appreciated that at all.
True.
Commonwealth, outside, makes that big sort of sweeping move. The Met, he's in between horses, and those are just better horses than these ones that he'll be facing. And similarly to that Bold Ruler, he's in between horses. I think he came on at the end of those 2 Belmont races once they got him out into the clear. The problem is, he's drawn post 5. He's right in the middle of everyone. How are you going to angle out to the clear?
You know what? That's up to Johnny V. And Johnny V is one of the absolute best. So maybe he can do that. That's actually a very interesting point. And I didn't look at him that way. But actually, when you start looking at his races that way, that makes a lot of sense.
Which, again, if you're going to be talking about 2 to 1, not a good thing.
But he's 8
if you're
to
talking
1,
about 8, 10, 12 to 1, somewhere in that range, maybe he's one that you can consider. The 6 High Riverside, Javier takes the mount here for Antonio Sano. I think this is a nice little horse.
Me too.
I just think he's overmatched.
I agree. I'm a big fan of this horse. I think he's pretty good. I just don't like him in graded stakes races.
Team colors for Jimmy Jerkins is number 7, and is really in many ways a bit of an X factor in here, an unknown. We haven't seen this horse since April 2nd of 2016. That was over a sloppy track. He ran very, very well, I thought, in the skip away, all things considered. You know, he had been campaigned on turf and synth. He started on fast dirt no times in his career, not once.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know what we're going to get out of
either.
But guess what? In a field where you don't really love anyone, why not take a shot on a horse that can run?
That's what I'm doing. I think he's pretty good. I sort of was waiting for them to try dirt with him when they first got him over because I didn't love his turf race. He's got a lot of dirt on the dam side of his pedigree. So I wondered if they try it. They did try it. I liked his allowance win down here a lot. I thought he ran. I know it was a muddy track, but it wasn't a sealed, really wet track. It was a harrowed, muddy track. I thought he ran great that day without the easiest trip in the world. And then last time, I mean, he ran fine again. He was not valid, just walked on the lead. This horse tried to catch him. He just couldn't do it. He was dead game through the stretch, though. I want a price in this race. I think this horse is okay. I don't love the layoff, but if he can come back running off the layoff, I think this is a pretty good spot. I'm going to try him in here at a price.
Based on figures, the 8 Mr. Jordan is the horse that many of these competitors are going to need to beat in here. He is the co-highest last out buyer with a 100 in the field. We talked about him a little bit over at the desk before we came in here. I've never been the biggest Mr. Jordan fan. I still maintain I think he would be fantastic going much shorter. But at this stage in the game, I can't argue with the fact that, you know what, they've campaigned him going 2 turns. And he's earned over $500,000. It's hard to knock him. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
Me either, especially if he's going to be the favorite. And it feels like there's a pretty good chance he'll be the favorite in here. He's all yours at 5-2. I'm going to give him this much credit for showing in his last few races that he doesn't need to go right to the front. Because he looked like a one-way speed for a very long time, and now he doesn't look like that. I'm having a really hard time. I know he beat Res Judicata 2 starts back. Enough said. I'm having a hard time believing the 100 buyer for the last race. Going back, looking through the horses who were behind him in that race, not even close for them to be running the figures that they got for that race. I want to see him prove that that's a real figure.
And for what it's worth, if you're looking into this horse, Eddie Plisa, we have a formulator fact, and it's not a good one if you're thinking about taking this horse at a short price. Past 3 years, winner last out, 61 to 180-day layoff. 1 for 24 with a 17-cent ROI. This horse, again, he figures to take money, arguably go off as the favorite in here at a short number in a race that you and I don't really love anyone and we want to take a shot. Mr. Jordan is basically the antithesis of all that.
Exactly. I mean, he could easily win. There's no denying that he could easily win. I would never bet him. I'll go so far as to say I would bet Tommy Macho before I bet him in this race.
I would too, simply because I think Tommy Macho is just a better quality horse than Mr. Jordan is. The 9 is Unbridled Outlaw, another horse I've never loved, but Dale Romans got him to visit the winner's circle most recently. It must be stated, the field he defeated that day was horrific. That was a terrible, terrible field. I like Homespun Hero.
Yeah.
He was claimed for 40 about 3 starts
True.
back. I think this is a nice little horse. I just don't think he's this good.
I liked him for 1 start in his career when he was 12th in the Breeders' Cup. Since then, he's lost me.
An interesting race. You can go a number of ways, formulated races a day. Let's take a look at the picks. Mike, you're going to take a bit of a price in here,
Yeah.
arguably one of the longest prices in here, the 17 colors.
Yeah, I think we're both going for prices in this race, and I think that's in a lot of ways the way you're supposed to bet this race. The favorites are not exactly trustworthy in here. I'm hoping the team colors, hoping the layoff doesn't really compromise him all that much, and he can take a little step forward here.
Team Colors has shown that he can run. He has ability. There's no denying that. We'll find out off the layoff and on the fast dirt. I'm going to go with the Mies Flatter in here. If I can get anywhere near the 8-1 in the morning line, I'll be very interested in playing. Again, this is a horse that, at his best, can certainly win. I will not argue with anyone that says he's just, where is he as far as form is concerned, because right now it's not there. But I know at least when he runs his race, he's capable of beating a field.
Doesn't he have the
of
two?
his
I think
caliber.
he's got the 2 fastest figures in the field.
A couple of 105s. If he runs a 105, he's going to win. If he runs a 100, he's at least a contender in this spot. The formulated race of the day is the 11th at Gulfstream Park. It's the Grade 3 Hals Hope for playing at home. Check out DRF Bets. We have all sorts of good deals for you. Bet 100, get 100, all sorts of free bets, whatever it may be. Check it out. DRFbets.com/free bet is the address. Scheduled post time for the 11th at Gulfstream. It will be on DRF Live starting at 3 or 4 o'clock Eastern. One of the two. You got to pay attention. 5:05 Eastern. Best of luck.